Hello Reddit and anybody watching this on YouTube. This is Saber here. I'm going to be showing you the Lost Mines of Phandelver Wave Echo Cave from the D&D 5th edition starter set in Minecraft. It's mostly complete here in a one block to 1 5-foot square scale, and I've got some rooms over there in a two sorry, yeah, 2 blocks to 1 5-foot square scale, so a 2.5 foot per block over there, and it looks much better, but this is much more complete, so we'll show you this first. Um, so this is the Lost Mines of Phandelver Wave Echo Cave Part 4 from the 5th edition starter set, and I'll refer to some of these rooms by their numbers so you can look at exactly what I'm talking about if you have the kits, but if you can't, you can sort of get the rough idea here. So this is the entrance to the main room, or the room number 1, first room. Here's room number 1. You can see the stalagmites, the rock pillar that's supposed to support the room. No ruins of dwarf here, but you could add that later by yourself. This is your rope that you just used to get down. Over here is sort of the entrance, and then this is room number 3, the stalagmites, stalactites, big cavern, etc. This is to scale 1 to 1. Some of the edges of the rocks are slightly inaccurate because it's hard to make when you only have squares to make them exactly perfectly accurate. Over here, you have room 4 with all the skeletons in it, and you have room 5, the accountant's room. Okay, if we go over here, this is the cave. This is the tunnel that would lead to room 8. It's not complete, so that's where it would be. Over here, we have the barracks, room 6, and pay a little bit of attention to this room because I'll show you the to a different scale this room in a minute here after I finish the scale version of the dungeon. You can see the ghouls there, and the beds, and the chamber pot over there. It's actually a flower pot. Alright, over here we have the entrance to the storage room with all the barrels in it. Very nice looking barrels there. We can go over here, and this is the big cavern number 9 with the tables, little table over there, the dual height of the room with 2 things over here. We have stalagmites, stone pillar. If we go back through here, this is section 2, which is all the strange tunnels and stuff that are all caved in. Look at all this cave in over here, more cave in here, etc., etc. Alright, over here now, this will take us to room 10. This is the room with water in it. You can see all the pillars and stuff, and the water leads down into a tunnel over there, which would lead you to room 18 if it was completed. Over here we have the northern barracks, same thing. Here's the smelting room with the spell forge. So I haven't really refined this very much. I think it could be better, even at this scale, but I have to scale to a different scale version that I'll show you in a minute, which looks much better. So the pit there, that way isn't complete yet. Back in this room, and we're going to oversee the throne room up over here. Alright, this is the throne room with the dwarven statue on the throne here. You can see this room is really cramped and looks kind of terrible. So I'll show you to a different scale version in a minute here. I got 3 rooms in a different scale. This is one of them. And I think it looks much better than the other scale, but I think in here it looks playable. It's playable, but not great looking. Alright. So over here would be the priest quarters, and that's about all I have in this version of the dungeon. So the challenges in making and recreating D&D in Minecraft are the scale, basically, is the biggest challenge, because in all this, right, it's perfectly playable because you can see 1 5-foot block, so you can move your character like this and you could have perfect combat, but you lose a lot of the aesthetics that you could have if you had a different scale. And when you transition to those scales, it makes it much harder to play the game. But I'll show you that here in a second. Also, all that I've got done so far took about 3 or 4 hours. If I were to recreate this in a bigger scale, it'd probably take a couple of days. So the time is a lot factor here. Like, this is playable and took not too long to make. But if you were to make the whole thing in the scale that I'm about to show you, the 2x scale, it would take forever. It would take a long time to make. So we're gonna go out here. So these are my buildings ripped out of time here. This is 2 times scale, so each of these blocks equals 5 feet. It equals 2.5 feet. So a 2 by 2 square. So this, oh, those 4 blocks right there. That's 1 5-foot square in your D&D map. All right, so this is the throne room. It looks much, much better in this version. The only challenge is you can't really make a 1 wide, like a throne in a 2 by 2 room. So the throne now has the dwarf king and his wife, as opposed to just the dwarf king. But the marble pillars look much better. You got the lighting is pretty difficult to get right. And you don't really want it to be lit in your dungeon. Because you want your players to light it up. So I typically would take all the torches out of here before I let any of my players in here. And then they would place torches as they went along to light it up and get their line of sight thing. Very fun. Over here, priest quarter is not completed, but this is the scale of the room. So if you go with the height of the roofs is supposed to be 20 feet. That's a 20-foot high roof. It looks ridiculous. If you were going to do that in a barracks, it would look absolutely like crazy. In here, it looks okay because of the, it's a big throne room, fantastic, whatever. But a barracks with that height of roof is just stupid looking. So you'll see in the barracks that I've done above this, I have it reduced to 15 foot, and it looks much more reasonable. I think a 20-foot roof for a room is crazy anyway. I don't think that's really they weren't really paying attention to how actually high that would be in the guide in the 5th edition starter set, because nobody would ever walk into a 20-foot room and say that looks normal. Especially not for a mine. We have to carve out every foot of rock. It's ridiculous.
Especially for a mine for dwarfs.
Yes, it is a mine for dwarfs. They wouldn't have a 20-foot high roof when they're only 5 feet tall. All right, we're going to go up to the barracks here. This is the room that you saw, the southern barracks, room number 6. And we had it in the 1-to-1 scale, and now this is the 2 blocks to 1 5-foot square scale, and it looks much, much better. So you can see we've got all the beds and everything, the brazier with coals in it, which we couldn't even fit in the other one. And then we've got the chamber pot. You got all the skeletons of the dwarves, and you have the ghouls here. And you could do the ghouls a couple different ways. If you wanted to actually do combat in here, you could mess around with just the skulls if you wanted to do quickly or whatever. So you can see that this looks much better, interior-wise, looks much cleaner, and you can show a lot more detail, and it looks a lot more interesting. But I will point out, so if you're going to do combat in Minecraft, so do rolls on like some other program and just show the dungeon in Minecraft, you are going to have trouble doing combat in this scale because you can't move your characters around accurately because it's hard to tell where the squares are. Whereas in the 1-to-1, you can tell where the squares are. So this looks much nicer, but trying to figure out where every single one of these is, because this isn't even a square, right? This is half of this square and half of this square. So 2 5-foot squares, I mean. So it's very tricky to move around and do combat in this scale, but it looks much, much nicer. So if you're going for pure presentation and want to do your combat somewhere else, this looks much nicer, but if you're doing combat, it might be a little bit tricky to pull off. One final room to show you here. This is the Smelter, smelting room, room 12, and this looks really amazing in this scale. I'm going to just throw some torches out here, because I've got a friend here finishing it off. Torches. So if we light this up, he's building those torch sconces or whatever. Light it up so it's a bit brighter. This is a 15-foot roof, so again, shortened from the 20-foot. It looks so much better than the 20-foot roof. 20-foot roof looks ridiculous. This is the Spellforge Smelter, so you can see here's the bellows. This is the wheel. All looks much, much better than the 1-to-1 scale. This is all the 2-to-1 scale again. But again, difficult to do combat in here because it's hard to tell where these squares are. You can accidentally be in 4 different squares at the same time. But I think it looks much better, and I think I would probably do it this way and then do my combat on something like Roll20. But if you want the presentation value and the aesthetics, this is how I would do it. Again, if you make every room like this room alone took about an hour. So if you were going to make every room in Phandelver, all 20 rooms, it would probably take a couple of days minimum of just 6 or 7 hours of Minecraft a day to get this all built. Obviously, there are DMs who are committed enough to do that. I am not, and my group will be lucky if they get the 1-to-1 scale. So, all right, that's about it. I'm gonna have imager pictures, screenshots side by side of the to scale rooms versus the smaller scale rooms, and I'll have those in the description of the YouTube video and on the Reddit post. Thanks. This has been Saber. Have fun.